Keep Me Fed, the new album from Sister Rockers, The Warning, is an in-your-face, riff-heavy rock record that shows their potential to take the rock world by storm. Let's talk about it on this edition of Rock Album Review. Hello, everybody. It's Nick here with you. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the rock album review for the brand new album from The Warning. It's called Keep Me Fed. And for this edition of Rock Album Review, I'm joined by a very special guest. I have Hector, the chill dude on a couch. How's it going, Hector?
All good, man. Here celebrating Friday, the end of the work week.
Oh, yeah. That's actually really cool because Friday's the end of the work week, and then Friday's when all the new albums come out. So it goes well together because we have some new albums to listen to every week to get over the awful work week. We got some good rock and roll.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to be talking about this new album from The Warning, and they're a trio of sisters. They're based out of Monterrey, Mexico, and Keep Me Fed is the fourth studio album from The Warning. This is a follow-up to 2022's Error, and they've been kind of one of those bands that's been breaking into the mainstream that's more international. When you think about, I know, Maneskin or Monoskin or however you pronounce that, they're an international band that's gotten really big from Italy, and then you have The Warning based out of Monterrey, Mexico. So Hector, for this rock album review, we'll kind of talk about our initial thoughts about this new album from The Warning, and then we'll get into some favorite tracks and some least favorite tracks, and then we'll give our final thoughts and a score out of 5 at the end of the review. Sound good?
Sounds good, man.
Well, let's start with you, Hector. Like, what were your initial thoughts with this new album from The Warning, Keep Me Fed?
Well, when you sent me out this, I didn't know who this band was, to be honestly. This is the first time I listened to The Warning. So I listened to some of their old stuff and I listened to this album. And I'm trying to put my finger on it because it's commercial rock. And they have like a poppiness side to them. It's I don't know why, it kind of remind me of, like, in the 80s when Pat Benatar was like very big.
Yeah.
It sounded like a modern twist to what the Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, like that type of sound, like that type of rock and roll. So I thought, yeah, interesting. It's a short album. It's only 38 minutes, 12 songs. And it's interesting that they're from Mexico, but I think on this album, I didn't hear any other songs in Spanish until I listened to this album. They have one song in Spanish on this album, which I thought made it stood out, which makes sense because every other song is in English. So my first initial thought was, yeah, they have that sound that reminded me of like that old school rock. I haven't listened to a lot of like female bands that sound like this. I remember another band. Do you remember the Donnas?
Oh, I love the Donnas. Absolutely.
So I got like, they don't sound exactly like the Donnas but I remember like that type of vibe, like all female band, like songs that are catchy and earwormy. That's what I got when I listened to The Warning.
Yeah, with some real riffs in there too, some like good guitar rock in there, which you don't.
Yeah, there's some good.
I don't want to say like women in music don't know how to play like big guitar rock, but you don't see as many bands like that. I think right now. I could be wrong. I'm sure people will let us know in the comments.
Oh yeah, no, there are, but yeah, no. Like from this style, I haven't heard a lot of newer bands, at least recently.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, they're an interesting band, and like I wouldn't have never really heard of them either, except for I was at my parents' house of all places, and they have cable. I don't have cable, but they still have like traditional cable. And so actually there's a music video channel on there. It's not Much Music or MTV. It's called like Stingray or something like that. And they have a rock channel on there. So it's all just rock bands that they play their actual music videos, which is something you don't see anymore, is a music video channel on TV. But they actually played their video for more because I'm always, when I go over, I take over my parents' TV and I put on the rock music channel, of course. And I saw the More video and I thought that was really, really cool. So I started to kind of get into them a little bit more. And I really do like their sound. Like I really like that comparison that you made, Hector, about the Donnas. That's a really great
I remember
comparison.
the Donnas.
Yeah, they were a great band.
I remember seeing them back in the day in Lollapalooza.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That would have been a great set. That's awesome. Yeah, they were like just like kind of like a rock and roll band, and like we were saying, like big riffs, big guitars. I really liked the lead singer. I think she's got a great voice. Her name is Daniela. I don't want to butcher this, but Villarreal, I think is how you pronounce
Villarreal.
that. You can do it very much better than I can.
That's
So
why you brought me here, man,
that
for
well,
the
you know, it's
diversity and the Spanish.
well, it's like, it's good to have somebody who speaks Spanish to speak
Yeah.
to some of the one Spanish song on this record. So yeah, I really like her voice. I think she's a really strong singer and they're a really strong band. And they remind me of a couple Canadian bands. There's a really great Canadian hard rock band called Broken Love. They kind of remind me of that, and then they remind me of another great Canadian band that's an all female band as well. They're called the Beaches. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, Hector, but they're a
No,
great,
I
uh,
haven't. I know
highly
Kitty.
there, Kitty. Yeah. Yeah. No, so the Beaches are a great Canadian band as well. And they reminded me of that as well. So I think this is a really good record. It didn't really blow my mind. There's some really great songs on here. I don't think it's reinventing rock or anything like that. There's just a lot of really great riffs and really great singing and really great production. And I think that they're starting to make a name for themselves in the rock world. And so it's great to see more women in rock. And like I was saying, more bands from around the world. Typically in kind of mainstream rock, we see bands coming out of, the US and Canada, Australia, UK, those kinds of places.
Yeah.
But then seeing more international bands kind of hit the mainstream like that is really cool. So I think it's a good record overall. It's really strong.
Yeah, I thought it's very enjoyable. I had a good time with it.
So let's get to some of our favorite tracks and our least favorite tracks that we heard on this new album from The Warning. Hector, what were your favorite tracks on this record?
So I would pick Hell You Call a Dream. I thought that was a great single, great chorus, very hooky to it. And again, the singing. I got that's why I compared like to Pat Benatar, because you remember Pat Benatar had those great hits like Love is a Battlefield
Oh yeah.
and very anthemic, which I think sometimes in rock music is kind of lost, like that type of anthemic feel. So that's an anthemic song. I also like the track Sick. I thought that was a more harder type of song. Uh, and I like 6 Feet Deep also, which opens the album. I think it's
Yep.
a good album opener. So I think those 3 tracks were my favorites.
And what would you say were like your least favorite tracks on this record from The Warning?
I thought that more at the end, there was a little bit of cheesiness, like the song Sharks. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like just the metaphor of the sharks. I thought I don't know. I thought it was kind of like, it was okay.
Mhm.
And Automatic Song, the album Closer, I don't know, like a little bit after, I think the 2 songs that follow Hell You Call a Dream are just, I think they should have ended with
Yeah.
Hell You Call a Dream or open the album. That was just after that. The songs that followed it just felt like a little bit of filler, in my opinion, with Consume and Aromatic Song. Not that they were bad per se, but they weren't as memorable as a song like Hell You Call a Dream, which I heard before.
Yeah, I would agree that those are actually really, really strong tracks. And I do agree that it does those last couple of tracks on the record. I think those would be my least favorite as well. I'll get to those in a minute. But for my favorite tracks on this new album from The Warning, I liked More. That was one of my favorite tracks. That was the song kind of that got me into the band or introduced the band to me when I saw the video. So that was the one that drew me into their sound. The only thing is like the chorus is a little bit, it's a good chorus, but it's also weak at the same time. Like I feel like it's one of those songs that has a little bit more potential where it could be a little bit better and just a little bit catchier than it actually is on the record. But that's a minor nitpick. I really like the overall like the bass and the drums on this album. I thought for a 3-piece, the sound is pretty thick. There's a lot of great tones on this record with the rock guitars and the bass and the drums. And then like Daniela, the lead singer, she has a really easy to listen to voice. I think Pat Benatar is a good comparison for that because just one of those voices that's really easy to listen to, really melodic, and then she has a little bit of an edge to her voice as well. So for the the one Spanish
Yeah, I
song
was
on
gonna
this,
say, you want to know?
yeah, like what is I actually do think this is one of my favorites, but I'll let you pronounce the title and explain to me what the song is
I
about.
thought the track was good. I'll talk more about the track in a minute. So, ¿Qué más quieres? Means what more do you want? And
Okay.
it's basically a song about like this man or ex-boyfriend or something and she's like, "What more do you want from me? Like, you complain, but you come back to me." So it's like a like type of a diss song. It's good, but I felt like it kind of was like the odd elephant in the room
Mhm.
because everything else is in English, and then you have that song in Spanish, and it's right like the fourth song, and you're like, yeah, it felt a little bit out of place. But musically, it's good. But yeah, that's what she's saying. ¿Qué más quieres? Is what more do you want?
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, it's basically she's saying that this guy, like he complains, but what more do you want from me? But you come back for more. So it's kind
Yeah.
of a female empowering song, like like this guy complains, but you always come back to me. So
Yeah.
basically, that's what the song is about.
Still, it's still just like a typical love song at the end of the day, in Spanish or in English, it's all the
It's
same.
yeah, which I think they just did it. Maybe like they're from Mexico,
Mhm.
and to prove like, hey, we can write a song in Spanish, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was catchy, and she sings good in both languages.
Mhm. Yeah, no, she sounds great. I was surprised maybe they didn't even it out with maybe a couple more Spanish songs because I think maybe their first couple of albums and people again, I always throw it to the comments. They could let us know if we're incorrect, but I do feel like maybe the first couple albums were a little bit more Spanish speaking before they started becoming more English and a little bit more, trying to break into the mainstream rock thing. So I would have liked to see maybe a couple more songs in that, like in the Spanish language. I
Yeah,
think that would have been cool.
I'm looking at their other albums, and it doesn't seem like they have a song in Spanish. Everything,
Oh,
every
really?
time is
Oh,
in
okay.
English.
Oh, there you
So
go.
I think, me not knowing this song, oh no, no, there's a song on their album in 2022 called Martirio. So that's a
Okay.
song that I haven't heard that one, but that's Spanish. So maybe this is their second song in Spanish.
Well, there you go. Yeah, well, they're cool either way. I think they should do more songs in Spanish, like Maniskin or Monoskin. Like my family's Italian, and so like I like like I was telling my dad about it. He's like, oh, they actually sing in Italian. I'm like, yeah, they got some good songs in Italian. They got some good songs in English, and it's kind of cool to hear them do both, right? Because you don't hear a lot of great Italian rock bands either out there. So
Oh no, I've interviewed some metal and stoner bands from Italy. There's a great scene in
yeah,
Italy.
yeah,
But obviously the most known band for Italy for me is Lacuna Coil.
okay, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, yeah, we actually, my band, we toured in Italy many, many years ago. We went and played a tour in Italy, and that was interesting for
Did
sure.
they call you Bello?
Yeah, no, my nonna used to call me that, so
Ah, Bello.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, well, there you go. Well, back to the warning. You said Hell You Call a Dream was one of your favorite tracks. That is definitely by far my favorite track on this record. I thought that was such a great song. The chorus is so catchy. It's a great rock song. The riff in it is really good. The only thing I was thinking is like, would you agree that maybe that it should have been earlier on in the album? It feels kind of buried towards the end.
The hell you call a dream?
Yeah.
Well, I could have, yeah, I think that could have opened, or like or that could have closed the album. If you
Mhm.
want to close the album like on a really strong note, because the two songs that follow after that, they're just okay.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, I don't know, like the pacing of the record. I have my thoughts that I'll do for like the final thoughts round.
Okay. Well, I agree with you that the last couple of songs on the record were the weakest ones for me. Satisfied and Consume. By the time you get to the end of the album, you kind of feel like you've heard it all already. There's not really a lot of surprises coming in the second half of the record. Once you kind of get through the majority of it, you feel like you get a sense of what they're going for. And so some of the songs, I think it just becomes dependent on which ones you think are the catchier songs other than, the big singles. So I do think it was a little bit weaker towards the end of the record too. So, but that's just like it's a minor nitpick. Thankfully, it's short. Like we review so many albums, and so when you get something that's just a little bit shorter, you end up being a little bit thankful that you can save that much time on listening to it.
Yeah, what has happened to us? Like back in the 90s, we wanted those double albums, those long
Right.
albums, and now we're like, no, please have them
Yeah.
under 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't review the new Collective Soul on the channel because I was like, I like Collective Soul, but I don't know how much I want to listen to a double album from
JC
Collective Soul.
reviewed it.
Yeah, well, he's more dedicated than I am, that's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
listened to it yet.
Yeah, me neither. I listened to a couple songs, but
Yeah.
anyways, let's talk about our final thoughts on this new album from The Warning called "Keep Me Fed." So, Hector, what are your final thoughts on this new album from The Warning?
So I think it's a strong album. They're very talented musicians, but I want a little bit more of variety.
Mhm.
A lot of these songs sound very similar. It's like a same formula. Like they follow, like you have the chorus, you have like the sing along. It's like they follow like a same formula. And most songs are kind of short, they're like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So they kind of follow a formula, and some of the songs kind of blended to me together. And I think if they do a little bit of difference, I think that's why they maybe the song in Spanish like stood up so much, because the language being different. And the hell you call a dream also reminded me a little bit of Hailstorm.
Oh yeah.
That's the other band that, because Hailstorm to me is like a heavier version of a Pat Benatar. So
Yeah.
I got that. This band reminds me of a combination of Pat Benatar meets Hailstorm meets the Donnas. Like
It's a good mixture.
that's what they reminded me of. But I would like for them in the future maybe do some structure some differently, and because I'm thinking that they have a sound and it's like a comfort zone. But I'm not saying to for them to change the whole sound, but just have a few songs that are a little bit different, maybe for the album to be more engaging at times. Even though it's solid, I found myself like thinking I'm like I already listened to this.
Mhm.
That's that's my feeling with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. That would be one of my criticisms of the record too, is that it does get a little bit samey in spots. Like we were saying, by the time you get to the end of the album, you know what's going on. You've pretty much gotten a picture of their entire sound, and yeah, wouldn't it be nice to hear
It becomes
something a little bit
predictable.
different? It
Yeah.
becomes very predictable by the end, and it is a short record, but it is 12 songs, so they probably could have cut out a couple of them, and it maybe would have been a little bit stronger. And for me, it's not one of those albums I'd probably listen to the whole thing again, but I always take a couple of tracks from each album that I listen to and put them into a Spotify playlist. So there's definitely 3 or 4 tracks, the ones that I mentioned, that I would put into a playlist for my 2024 playlist. And it is very generic. I don't think it's and they don't have to do anything that's crazy. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's so many great rock bands out there who just do a good thing with what their sound is, and I think they do that really well. There's really great production on here. I think they really mesh well as a 3 piece. I don't know if that's because of some sort of sisterly connection. They're all sisters, and so maybe there's a lot of great bands from siblings. Oasis. When you get siblings together in a band,
They
maybe it's
hate each
just
other,
magic.
but
Yeah,
yes.
they eventually hate each other, but first it's magic. They release magical music before they
if you like
eventually hate each
if you
other.
like bands that have siblings, do not sleep on the new Oh Hiroshima album.
Okay.
That's a great post-rock record that came out today that I reviewed on my channel. And I
Okay.
actually interviewed the band because I've been listening to it for quite a while now. And they're two brothers.
All right. Well,
Uh,
there you go.
yeah, yeah.
And before the inevitable breakup, that's going to come eventually.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I do think this is a strong record overall. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's really, really well done. So Hector, what would be your final score out of 5 for this new album from The Warning?
So I would say this is a solid 3 out of 5. It's not a bad record. It's also not like an amazing record, but there's some good solid stuff in it. But I would like the band to do a little bit of stepping out of the comfort zone and doing something different, because I think that way they can stand out from all the bands that I mentioned that they remind me of.
Right. Yeah. And try to stand out a little bit more and find a more unique sound. This is
Yeah.
record number 4 for them. So it'd be nice to hear them branch out just a little bit. Not to say that we know everything in their history. So, I probably have to go back and listen to some of their other
You've been
records.
warned, the warning.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, I will also give it a 3 out of 5 for the new record from The Warning. It's not bad. I think there's a handful of tracks on here that I really, really enjoy. And I think they're a really, really talented band. They were on
They have
Jimmy Kimmel.
potential.
Yeah, they were on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and that I saw that performance on YouTube, and that was really, really good. So definitely, yeah, definite potential, and I think they're very talented. So I think overall, this is a pretty cool record. Just didn't blow my mind or anything, but not every record we review on our channels has to blow our mind, right? It can just be good sometimes, just good, solid music.
Yeah,
All
that's
right, well,
right.
we're going to give this record from The Warning, Keep Me Fed, a solid 3 out of 5, and that'll be the rock album review for this week. I want to thank Hector for coming on the channel, the chill dude on a couch. Hector, where can people find you on YouTube, and what can they expect when they follow the chill dude on a couch?
When they follow me, they can expect a ton of interviews. They can expect reviews with some humor in them. And obviously, the Is It That Bad series, which this weekend we're taking a little break, but look, we have a doozy of a new album that came
Yeah.
out this week, but we're going to wait for next week to actually talk about that album. So, hint, let's give the people a hint. The
Okay.
album that we're going to be reviewing for this weekend or the next weekend of Is It That Bad? Uh, they created a new type of sound called bimbo core.
Okay.
That's what they're calling it.
New genre. Okay.
New genre.
I'm excited to review that one. You know, we've had a couple of dudesies lately. Like I've been over on your channel quite a few times lately, and we've listened to some real interesting albums reviewing on your channel. So it's been
That's a
fun.
nice way to put it.
Yeah, some of them have been better than others. We'll just put it that way, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so make sure you follow Hector, the chill dude on a couch, over on YouTube. And yeah, that's it for the rock album review. You can follow me online as well on YouTube at Nick Chino Music, talking about all sorts of things rock and basically everything rock over there as well. So we'll see you guys again for another edition of Rock Album Review. Until then, rock on, everybody.
Bye-bye.